Apartments are not for Sergei.
This scheme is just awesome. In fact,
there is another great scheme. It will work, I think, for a few more months.
There's a 50% return.
Sometimes it can cost up to $250,000 dirhams. Just pay Maru. So they say, okay, guys, demolish the facade line. Pavel Durov lives nearby.
we are going to talk about the referral program.
This is a simple case. You can just go to Artem.
Is this an offer to the market? This is an offer to the market. What's there to discuss? Explaining a great topic.
Welcome, dear friends. Today we have Sergei Fomin from DCI Group, development construction company from Dubai, as our guest, the founder Kiss, and the guys also have a great construction company in St. Petersburg, and also Artem Freze from Creating Banking. Yes, that is, or just mortgage. In Dubai, that is a mortgage. Today we're going to talk about an interesting topic regarding what promising areas expect for renovation and construction in 2025, and also about trends in combining renovation with mortgages in the segment.
Investing through renovation and construction.
For investors and brokers, that's the key.
For investors and brokers. For all of us in Dubai, whether you want to make money through real estate or just live there, why not? Final users are welcome. We work with everyone.
Yes, and actually, I'm Andrey Sviridenko, the founder of the Behomes platform. To everyone who is already using our services, thank you very much. And for those who haven't started yet, we'll leave a link in the description. All right, let's dive in. So let's tackle the first question. Yes. A common misconception is that buying off-plan real estate is the most profitable investment you can make in Dubai. So, well, in 2024, 2023, the market has changed, and now there are new ones on the market. Companies that deal with renovations, some do it well with real construction experience. Some are just learning. Please share, as the founder of a construction company, what are the features of running this business and what benefits an investor can pursue in this direction?
Listen, if we're comparing off-plan properties, if a person wants to live there and it's from a large established local developer and they want to live on a high floor, then of course we're not competitors here. And off-plan can be said to be the same mortgage, just more convenient, packaged under a marketing name. Basically, it's the same story, just from the developer. All these the flows are already there inside. Developers financially train all the other participants in the market. Yes, and we always remember that if we set aside user files for those who want to live there, they are ready to wait. 3-4 years there. Some build faster, some build longer, some delay. That's normal. I'll take a look without hesitation. Yes, you can go ahead if the developer is reliable and the track record shows that everything is good. If we are talking about to invest and make money, then of course I could go into a deep speech and long debates, especially with agents who might assume that all developers will have good numbers across all payment plans. With agents who can assume that all developers will have good figures for all payment plans. But it's a misconception. Not all of them, far from it. Yet, you can call it that. So you have to wait a long time and you have to keep paying. If you don't pay, you run into problems. If you don't make enough payments, they can actually cancel your contracts altogether. And these contracts are unchangeable. You sign them and that's it. Just pay, wait, and you'll get the keys. Sometimes, by the way, it's not just delays. Sometimes things happen faster. Houses are handed over ahead of schedule, but you still have to pay. Because it says when it will be ready, but people aren't ready. Yes, that's right. Well, yeah, okay, that's not our story. We're a big development company for now. We're looking from the outside because it's just a long cash flow and these are big numbers.
It's just interesting here that you really have something cool experience in building residential complexes in St. Petersburg. So you're not speaking from the outside. You say in your imagination that we're not going there right now, but someday we will And you, on the contrary, were counting the heights.
We counted the community, we counted everything above 8 floors. Well, first of all, for us, we understand that even despite certain moments, we build much faster, both standalone villas and townhouses that are under renovation. We've been renting it out for the second year now, while the neighbors are still finishing their interior and exterior renovations. We've already collected a lot of money from the tenants there. But if we look at such properties, even a low-rise building, let's put it that way. For Dubai, 8 floors is a 5-year project, and you just have to do this every day. Paying the bills is very expensive, and it takes a lot of time to make outgoing payments, but we want the incoming ones to come in faster. That's why we're still in the near future. For the next 3 years, we're focused on probably G+3, which is the maximum we want to work on. Moreover, we compared the last cash flow and the object with the 42 townhouses. District 11, it turned out that a few standalone villas built from scratch will take us less time and bring in pure profit. There, it's also for private investors. There, if it will be from the beer, or there for the developer, who will receive an equal amount of money from their own and other people's money. So here it's really important to get into a good location at the right price. Because when we're already in the second or third hands, we've lost all the profit and are just trying to catch up with a train that's already left the station in a year. We should have done this back in 2019 when prices were 3 to 4 times lower.
Now let's win. So let's start with some good news. You immediately went to talk about the construction differences, right? Let's take a step back and see what our viewers, yes. So I often consider buying apartments in the most popular areas. Yes, so downtown Marina, these areas like Slough, Dubai Hills are specifically focused on buying apartments, and there are advertisements circulating in the market, like Renovation, specifically for apartments, renovation of villas. And investors are looking at this opportunity for themselves as a chance to buy old properties. That is, as you rightly said, to design, that is, to decorate the apartment and resell it. Can you tell us the main difference in this process? What about the types of units, like apartments, townhouses, and villas?
And why did you decide on one of these segments? Perhaps you could elaborate. We intentionally don't work with apartments, although we watch our colleagues and communicate with others in the market. They have large analytical departments that target specific buildings, and I wouldn't call it renovation because our strategy is a bit different. We don't just sit there on some private funds or some group of investors who just started cash flow. They work and don't need high-end to gather new clients from the external market. Our strategy is still to develop as developers, and then ultimately come to satisfactory and good numbers and calculations. Then the community, or even moving to higher floors, or going for villas, but already fully within their own budget and considerations. So, about apartments specifically. There are actually houses, there are areas on the map within a 100-meter radius where this story works. But again, the view is important. And the most important thing is that we won't earn any interesting amount of money for a company where many departments are involved in the production process and in architecture and design, because what happens in the apartments is still light fight out. Work, decorating, staging, and the right presentation in the form of picture slides, and most importantly, the choice of floor levels. The view of the building and the developer. She works there, but the numbers that the colleagues in the market are getting on, if these aren't the colleagues of the program, we all know, both of them, with the help of their PR, they really boosted one of the areas and there are confident good numbers there, but overall the market there is getting 15%. From the apartment, it's considered enough for 15 years. He's not exactly tall, but he's tall enough to close a deal. So if there's an offer and 15%, it turns out that within a year, you can sell around 68. They are selling. We work in apartments based on user files. We don't show them anywhere, not on our websites, nowhere. We also do deep renovations there with the moving of walls and complete demolition and flooring. There are drywall, outdoor works. But these are all user files. There's no need to show what kind of policies people have ordered there. They live there, listening by price segments. Could you please clarify?
So we're talking about the apartments, townhouses, and villas. What price categories are we even discussing?
We can start looking in that direction, but we don't work there and we won't be working there. So the exact same houses that are on Marina.
Apartments not for Sergei?
Yes, you can do it yourself. That is, those who want to deal with apartments in Marina, which are there. In the region of 2 million there. And you don't need any designers or architects. You just make it beautiful, make it even, change the colors. Well, probably some designer. Yes, and the earnings can be up to 150,000 dirhams.
On the amount of money, 2 on the volume of 1 million, dirhams up to 3.
You don't even need to reach those numbers, like 2, 182, 400. I was doing 12. So for some people, it's okay. Some are topping up and they are embedding themselves within the deals. Earnings from commissions are not our business. We are focused on creating a product. They are involved in some minor fine-grained operations that will take up a lot of our time. The project for approval has certain time limitations. In residential buildings, you can't change the specific layout of the apartments. You can't expand or enlarge them. You can't change the glazing. And you can't use the balcony as you would like. So there are a lot of restrictions because, in principle, even if you're working inside a large building, you're dealing with villas and townhouses. And, of course, different master developers have different restrictions, but still, if there weren't any before. The extension is done in such a way that you can increase the size of the building by at least 10%, the size of the building, and this can be done on some buildings from different sides. So you can either increase the main structure or the facade wall into the courtyard. So we have a villa. After the renovation, it increases by a few square meters. More, but nevertheless, they end up in the documents. If we compare it to another one that's similar, it automatically becomes more expensive because it's priced by square feet.
So what's the starting price? Perhaps you could tell me.
Yes, I'll tell you about the prices now. It's strong. There. There's a big difference. If we use mortgage leverage, we put up property as collateral. Now let's move on to Artem.
No, wait.
And the fourth option is actually quite an option. Hard to access, let's say, in Dubai. We will also move on to large construction from scratch. I'll comment on that too. Layout. The most important thing in the villas, we can change the layout significantly, depending on what the master developer allows us to do. The flow of people inside. Villas, if we're talking about the Palm, you can actually build entire sections. But there, at the slope, yes, of course. Now on the Palm, it's hard and expensive to do. Extension. You and Marina are all fixed at a lower price. And it focuses. In some places, it's easier to work with Mar in terms of the speed of approvals, but also the numbers. So I mentioned Marina at 2 million. That's like, the minimum thing to consider, but we're not looking there. We're not working with that there. The colleagues are working with budgets of 468, 12. Same beachfront, Dubai Hills. Yes. On the Palm too. And blue, that's because of the Bali waters. Yeah, a lot of people have come in. I've heard that again. Well, we're in touch with colleagues at Royal Atlantis, but there aren't any quick sales like that. Well, because the numbers are already the numbers of the villas, and of course it's 22 plus. A separate category of clients who are willing to buy apartments for that kind of money, ready to buy apartments. Yeah, Atlantis, it's cool, like a brand, but still, for that kind of money, you could live in a standalone building. So, the entry into I would probably call the renovation for cash around 4. If we're talking about the towns, I mean the minimum from which we have the expertise, we can show the numbers, fully confirm the project before the purchase, find it, and roughly calculate how it will unfold over the year. I would probably be talking about 4 million dirhams, the villas after all, to also differentiate, to understand then the apartments from 2 townhouses starting from 4 million dirhams for renovation, villas. So what price do you actually recommend? I'm not saying I recommend it, but it can be worked with. Again, we know what we know. It's possible that something new appeared on the market yesterday and we don't know about it yet.
It will be costlier tomorrow.
Tomorrow it will be more expensive, but as you know, we are getting closer to the MRA because there the approvals are clear. The buyer activity in these areas and the quick approvals, here we already understand how to do this in 2 or 3 days. We need to understand who our target audience is in the end, who will live there, how much space they need, and how everything will be arranged, including the kitchen and everything else. So, I would call a villa, a standalone villa with its own plot. I would probably name numbers. From 7 for CAC, somehow I would indicate the minimum figure, but confidently, well. And where you can already earn 22 plus annually, I would currently mention 10, 11. These are the figures for cash. And here we dive into financing and co-financing there and so on. What about the mortgage? And we buy until then, you'll order on February 1st, just so you know. You can't combine, right. Commission fees for agencies in relation to colleagues, excellent for the body of the loan. This is regarding the mortgage, and there is also, we can use it as collateral if we bought the villa, meaning it can be appraised. Prepare the client's profile. If he is not ready, it might be that he isn't at the numbers we need. However, it is possible to pledge ready-made objects and receive up to different figures from 50 to 80. Well, I haven't heard of 80 yet. At least we haven't had that experience. 60 is some kind of standard percentage.
Something interesting numbers we're getting by ear, right? Let's break it down in more detail and just ask an expert in the field of mortgages and real estate buyouts. So what do you think in general from the perspective of accordingly processing the flow of these clients? Because, well, Sergei mentioned the price range, 2, 3, that's for the apartments, right? So 4, 5 is for the townhouses and 7 is the highest entry price for the villas. So from the perspective of collateral,
the full amount needs to be paid, right?
Well, that's also a feature, right? And if we're talking specifically about mortgage rates, right, what are the laws of money there, right? And what's the best way to actually get a mortgage for ready housing? Let's take a simple case and we'll analyze ready housing. Sergei is taking a turnkey project. The DCI team is doing a complete renovation of the townhouse. And accordingly, the new client is the final user. Yeah, so they're buying this with a mortgage, let's say a check for 5 million. What are we going to do? Okay?
But I guess it would be right to say that if there's an opportunity to use bank money in a clear business, then probably you should use bank money when applying these strategies. In a clear business, then probably it is necessary to use bank money when applying these strategies. So what's the general idea behind all of this? In that we take out a loan for some process, and because we take this loan, even though we pay for the use of this money, we still significantly reduce our expenses. So when we calculate our favorite ROI, we take into account how much money we invested and how much we received. So by using mortgage leverage, we just invest less money. It is clear that there are costs for using money, but we still receive interest. More. So in actual cash, we receive the same amount after everything is resold, but in percentage terms, it's more because we invested less. That's it. That's regarding the essence, the technology of this process. If we're talking about the details, about rates, about financing terms, about whether they approve or not, about how you can get money from the property, right? either for renovation or for something else.
Yeah, that's an interesting case, by the way.
Here, there probably isn't a concept of good or bad. We can compare Dubai just with other cities, countries, where there are different rates. So in Dubai, we know, okay, that for a resident, we can get a mortgage right now at a rate of 4% per year. If you compare with Russia, it's clear, 18, 22%. In the UK, it's 4 to 5%, but most often 6%. India, 8%. In Germany, it's better, it's clear. There we have around 3%. But in any case, 4% is very reasonable because we are actually tied to dollar inflation. And it seems like everything is okay. As for the down payment, 20% is also quite reasonable, even though the central bank is tightening the screws a bit regarding DLT financing and agency issues, but they probably know better, so I guess that's a good thing. So what I mean is, the main idea is, I repeat, if there's a possibility not to invest your entire amount completely, but to get this financing that we help to arrange, and we do it more or less successfully, then of course there is a lot of common sense in that.
Listen, I wonder, Sergei, please tell me something for our people? Guests, information that it often happens that sometimes the buyer doesn't have any property at all. They want to buy a ready, renovated house. Often people come in who already have property, they want to renovate it, and both need financing, so you can describe the question correctly. To describe the question on the topic of how actually to work with borrowed money,
Artem looked at the most popular case regarding this, but we also need to remember this story when everyone starts coming in. And if we consider in investment renovation, we see that on checks up to about 7 million, more than 50-60% of the final clients we sell to are still people with mortgages. Let's call this market. They don't have any money.
Wait, what segment is this? One more time.
This is to 7 million.
Up to 7 million. So 80% buy with a mortgage?
16. If we're talking about checks of 34 million, at least where we work, we're seeing the minimum figures around 80%. And your clients, most of the viewings, and there, at least everything that has been sold now, everything that was ready, has been sold now. All 3 properties were sold last fall, and they were sold with a mortgage. And how to work. But for the investor, it's great because they pay 20% off. Down payment, 4%. DLD, 2% agent commissions, everything else. They pay, meaning the renovation is paid for separately. Nevertheless, he invested 26% in this whole event instead of 100%. And of course, the ROA in the end that he gets.
Invested capital?
On the invested money, yes, it grows. But I believe that on smaller checks, it's significantly, if we're talking about standalone villas,
almost double.
You can, yes, you can take a risk, but when diving into the cost of money, again, there's the principle of the loan and the interest on using the money. If we consider all the monthly payments, it kind of rolls back a bit. Nevertheless, it's definitely much more interesting if there's a possibility or to use this tool in renovations, in construction, even if it's going to be a reverse mortgage, meaning a cash purchase. Getting money from the bank, because while the project is being drawn up, you can prepare the profile, arrange the documents, secure the unit, and receive the payment into your account. And build with that money, so you buy it and don't think about anything else. And within a year, the cash flow is organized. If you don't need all the money, you can also take some and put it in a low-risk investment, some kind of deposit on a wave, and there will be a little money earned while you're not spending it. Not for long-term, but for short-term.
You're truly considering a completely ideal case?
The ideal case is to buy a palm tree with cash, use it as collateral for that money, and renovate the palm tree. Besides the palm tree, you can take the remaining money to invest in meadows, renovate meadows, and with a 30% investment, you'll have a 20% profit. And all of this will happen within a year.
Or you have some terminology, that you'd like to highlight since they all agree, yes, this scheme is actually amazing.
Yes, too, and it was extinguished.
There's another great scheme, and I think it will work for a few more months.
Can you explain in more detail its location? Palm Jumeirah, which segments are you talking about? Because there are many different branches there. Where exactly? Are those villas available for purchase and renovation? What are the budgets like? And can you tell me more about the second area?
We always start from the answers to 3 questions that we ask the investor. How much does he want to earn in percentage? How much time do we have to work with his money? And how much money do we have respectively for this whole event?
Well, let's consider a task, for example, approximately 5 million dirhams, 30%.
Only with a mortgage. So for cash, 30%. Well, if someone shows you, we also want to go there. So a lot depends on this, I mean, it's clear that with such, in general, people are into investment, renovation, and construction with their heads. So they would like to participate at the beginning, in most cases, in market analytics, go to a few independent agencies, talk to a friend, and do something else. In short, there's serious market research going on all the time. As a representative of our company, as a developer, I will go where, of course, we can earn more money, including prioritizing the investor. It will be easier to work, and of course it's easier for us to work in the areas of Emirates. But we understand that life is like that, and people want to go to Jumeirah Islands or Jumeirah Golf Estates. They don't care that it's somewhere out there. That's not a gate. Community, he doesn't understand that this is a hassle, and there will be difficulties with the approvals. With the approval process taking time, our renovation period gets extended. He doesn't understand that the cost of the extension will be twice, and in some cases several times higher than in Emirates. And so I can name it now, but again, it's where it's more comfortable for us to work, and at the same time we understand what the numbers are and we can achieve them. And for us, as for those who work at the facility and create a product there, the most important thing for us is, of course, time. Because the faster we produce it and deliver a finished product to the market, the sooner people can come and touch it. Because everyone likes the renders, but everyone wants to come and touch it, see how much the reality matches the render, how accurate were you in terms of percentage. And of course, for us, working with Mar is the easiest, when it comes to villas and townhouses. And what do the areas mean for us, people from the CS? It's clear that there's Palm Marina. It's really ingrained in our marketing, like a hammer from the 2000s. And still, where are we going? We're going to check out the Burj Khalifa, and then we're heading straight to GBR, and it's great there. So the entry numbers in Palm are quite significant, not small. I'll say this, with these numbers of the entrance to the palm tree, I recommend the investor to go for a new build. Yes, it will take about 8 to 10 months longer than a renovation in Palm. But it will definitely be a more impressive and cooler property than just renovated ones.
Any secret to Satan where to go in Palm?
Listen, it's clear that everyone wants that. The further you are from the trunk, the more enjoyable it is. But the villas from which you can start, where the sales will be quite clear, are, I would call the numbers. In a good scenario, who has problems? Right now, it's February, the beginning of February 2025. Because we have presentations from November and they are all outdated, we need to move them to another folder, count the new ones, and the second and third.
Rubles at 100?
Yes. 2632 is Palm up to, which can be considered for a clear sale and a clear layout, 2 and 332 million at the top. Yes. And a renovation there might cost around 68, well, let's say 7.
And these plots have increased, and there are very few left, about 10 male ones, maybe more.
I wouldn't spend that money on Palm, I would buy 2 instead. Payment. We have, with Artem and colleagues, there's an opportunity to use the plot as secondary real estate and receive 50% of the plot's value. And it's not from the evaluation that usually goes on the secondary market, but from the transaction value. Therefore, for a raft worth 15 million, you can get millions. The plot is secured. With that money, you can confidently start most of the construction, pay for it, and in the end, the villa will be much larger.
Let's go into more detail about this because it's the most important part. alive and fresh, what to take, costs, starting with our money.
Because from the investor's perspective, this is a visually very appealing case.
There's a 50% return.
Yes, we relied on the latest figures. We got it if we use this one, the option with the plot collateral, then we have, so we end up with a 44% annual return. It turns out to be for a ready villa in Dubai Hills. There are only a few plots left. I think they will be gone within the next quarter, but nevertheless, we are ready to share this information. It's not new. If someone is ready to build, they will go buy and build it themselves. So if someone is ready to join us, they will come and do it with us. 50 million for the plot. 6% commission DLD+. Agent fees, 15,900 for full ownership of the plot. Then we move on to
Step 1.
Step 1, buy the plot, secure it for yourself.
Partnership.
In bargain,
We laid a fortune and bought it.
that's all for now. We have a platform. We're sending a person with the title deed of the platform to you, to Artem. At DFC in general, we're sending it. He takes the title deed and says, guys, let's start processing the mortgage for the platform.
How much do you get from 15 million? Can we use a calculator? By the way, in Behomes, we can use a calculator.
They will give us 7,500. We'll definitely get 50% because we should actually get 60%.
But you can't sell the platform until you settle the payments. So what are the next steps? Well, but will 7,500 be enough to actually build it? That's the main question.
Yes. The size of the platform, there's coverage, and then there's the allowed build-up mud area. That is, we expect that for the rafts that are currently available on the market, 7 to 7,000 square meters, you can build a villa of 864 square meters there. For that, along with the furniture and all the decorations, bushes, a swimming pool, a fully turnkey villa where you can move in with a suitcase and a charger, we assume at this point in life, if all prices remain the same, that we can fit into 10 million dirhams. But if we really don't have any money, first of all, we can attract co-investment, a joint venture. There are several options. We don't recommend doing this through the title deed. If anyone wants to participate in this dialogue, we're ready.
Discussing the shooters is a bit more complicated. It's just a little bit more complex. Let's consider the position of a private investor where we reduce the number of square meters.
And in the end, it costs okay. Not 38. It costs 34 po with 15,900 invested. So you get 34 in 2 years. That's if we keep it brief. But if we want to make some money, then right now, you can make money by building from scratch with options. Laying the foundation where we get, if we build a completely good villa with all the necessary floors, and we fully utilize what we can achieve. 860 square meters on a plot with underground parking, and the lower floor will be the largest. So you need to spend 10 with good furniture. That will be in this price range. For those people who come there, be enough to make a decision on the offer and close at the numbers that we're assuming right now. And the market will grow even more in 2 years. And then we get 22 million of the money invested because we still have payments on this mortgage, about 500, 600,000. We get 17 net from the 22 invested, which gives us 88 over the entire period. And we take the finished villa plus the block is for sale because this is the 5th year of construction of this community. And everything is already at the final stage. And after the next year, winter, the so-called season, they will be sold. If you go to another place where it's cheaper, you'll just be sitting there for 5-6 years waiting for neighbors. This is the end. 3, the payment is left. Let's go.
In such matters, as you might expect, the most common objection or concern we hear is, will everything be built around?
7.5% has been built. House by house will be connected to the network starting July 1st, 2024. Everyone who owns there is already under penalties. If someone isn't building, they will be, just like with fairways and on the palm. The points and payments, it's nothing to worry about. They have people there. They'll pay the money. These fines will be built later. But overall, the community has already opened next to the entrance to the Lamborghini villas, which are nearby. That's it. The area is being beautified with bushes, streetlights, and the names of playgrounds, and Mar is already starting deep preparations for the neighborhood to be handed over, so the next year after next. And we're leaving now with 18 months for the house production. You asked what will happen with the stock. He bought the plot 5 months ago. We're drawing it up. The project is for Artem. He gets 7,500 from the bank, but that's going to take some time.
Please tell me more. We are getting there. Through the Behomes app for $15 million dirhams, the loan is 43,044. The loan is 43,844. There will be a monthly payment for this buyout. So it comes out to 131,000 income level. So what do we do with this? What do we do with the income? Please tell me more about the case. An investor came in with 15 million dirhams to Sergei. He bought the plot and Sergei sent him to you for the buyout of this plot. What's next?
We bought the plot, we bought the land, the design phase has started and so on. But still, we can also not spend these 6 months while we're working on it. What bankers at least say is that you can also start some construction with your own money, because at the time of laying down the plot, what will be built will also be taken into account, yes, in terms of money. Well, there is a pinch of magic, yes, indeed, in this. In the whole process, when a person who has no income in Dubai has the opportunity to take such money for its intended purpose, yes, accordingly, construction, renovation, and so on. Here, this process, despite the fact that it is magic, it will still take us 6 months. That is, a person, yes, there, who conditionally is not suitable, cannot do this. After 6 months, everything maybe works out, and the banks issue these mortgages. And if by that time our design is finished, and some construction has already started, then an appraisal company will come and evaluate the plot. If there's a house on it, they'll consider that. If not, they'll evaluate it without it. And indeed, the money will be issued in the form of a manager's check to Sergei's company for the renovation and construction of this whole thing.
No money issued for?
About the private owner.
Well, from case to case, all right.
There are various choices that depend on, can we dig in direction?
We can dig into this direction. So when we have the opportunity to get 60% for construction or renovation, the manager's check will still be issued to the person who will be carrying out this work. So the owner probably won't receive a check or to using the money for purposes other than intended. Yes, that's probably basic security. The loan will be in his name, yes, but it will be directed to the construction company. Absolutely, yes, that's correct. So moreover, the bank will review the project must be approved, and there should already be some permits in place. It's not that simple either, that we want to build a house, and here's the money. Go ahead and build it with signatures, stamps, and everything as it should be. So the point is, yes, absolutely correct. So you don't need to have 24 million for all of this to happen.
25 notional.
You need to have 15,900 to buy the plot and a little patience to get that financing. In 6 months.
The essence is actually magic, or a consulting service. In any case, this yield must be backed by something here. The calculator says in black and white that for a monthly payment of $43,000 dirhams, a salary of 131,500 is needed. Tell me, please, are there just such cases when people have similar capital that generates rental income? Yes. So, for example, people have 10 units of property that generate 1.5 million dirhams a year. Can such candidates actually expect to get a loan for a similar amount if their annual income is 1.5 million in the territory of the United Arab Emirates, which is over 131,000? This is basic.
Yes, I also wanted to say that we can go through the salary profile. Yes, that's the most popular service. We can assume that we have a client who, for example, is not from Russia, but from America. So, well, why not? Then his income in the States will be taken into account here.
We have, yes, Englishmen who own real estate there and receive it officially. The rent in London counts here. In the bank, the income will be considered as the yield that should cover this figure, which should cover 3 monthly payments. So 40 okay.
These could be dividends. This is how you say it correctly. I said rent could be So we need any income that will be taken into account here. There are some peculiarities. For example, in America, dividends from securities income will be taken into account. Do you own Microsoft shares? It will count there, but not here. Although, well, why not? It's the same thing. Well, it's not exactly the same, first of all. And secondly, this is quarterly income. So why isn't it taken into account? Well, it's a question. Just like with the mortgage on off-plan properties.
Again, you can request not the full amount if it's not enough. We can make some kind of flexible option
It's important
to reduce the requested amount.
Is entry into construction history 15 minimum, or can plot be taken for a smaller amount?
Look at where we're aiming. And what area is 15? What I'm saying right now are the numbers that what location, a reasonable market. You could go to some place like Eden Hills, which has been trying to launch with H&H for the second year now. You just need to understand that you can get a plot for much cheaper. You can go to Abu Dhabi. There, the plots are cheaper, but the maximum price for the same square footage is higher. The villa is out of reach for Dubai. You can go to Dubai Island, you can go closer to the sea to buy something cheaper, but we need to understand that we have a list of items that must be adhered to in order to... Building isn't difficult. We understand what needs to be done. Basically, technically, building a villa isn't difficult. We can also build it straight. This is important in Dubai, especially with these checks. But the most important thing is who will sell for how much and how quickly in renovation and in the 9.
Here, the location matters in relation to the location.
Neighbors who are ready. Again, there's the Ketura that was sold in 2022, 2023, a great project when it was launched. They've been sitting for the second year now, waiting for the documents and permits to enter the site and start building. And again, here we have in small low-rise construction. Our neighbors are villas, and around us there are about 150 with 3 townhouses and 10-story buildings. Who and what general contractor will be building, and do they not have their own people like Shobi? They will still hire for the brigade, and there will be beautiful boundaries. Jabal Ali. Yes, there are also areas further on. There would be cool places with a view of the golf course, but there is a Nakila. It is abandoned. You build one villa around, no one cleans the area of bushes. There are none. Well, it is clear. What is the appeal there? That is, this is Mayar, and everything is in the final stage, and we understand that they are ending. There are also larger rafts costing 41 million, where you can build 2,500 square meters, 3 small ones. There are several large rafts, but the most important thing is the final users. They come, they don't want to live in a construction site. What was built earlier, what we have shows, where our tenants are living now, everything was conditionally deployed, not because something is wrong with the object, but because, damn, so where are the kids? So they went out there, and there, the cement trucks are standing in line at the pump, dumping it, concrete. You know, they have this, well, what a traffic jam of cars and construction vehicles trying to get to the viewing, you understand? But that's not suitable. And next year and the year after that, everything will be okay. And we are already moving into that part where by 2027, everyone will be living there. So the villas are gradually being occupied. You can name them by numbers. You can buy plots if people are okay with it. There won't be any earnings like those crazy numbers.
You definitely won't be able to purchase outright for $1 million or even more to build something.
The size there is smaller. We're talking about the elite. That's why I lead everyone there and steer them away from the initial segment, because it's hard to sell those. Building isn't hard, and we can build apartments, both townhouses and houses. The most important thing is how expensive and how quickly we can sell the final product. And here we are already moving on to the discussion stage where up to 7 million, even with DLD statistics, you can see the percentages, but we see what's happening with the units. Let's take a look. Report on, in terms of sales, what's happening there. 80% of mortgage requests, discussions. How much offer is there? They are there, these 20, 30,000. That's a problem for them. And 35 million, it either appeals to you or it doesn't. 50 million, either it's great or it's not. For example, the deal went through on the 23rd, led by V. In Emerald Hill was on the market for 120 million and didn't sell for 60 days. After the readiness of Villa 125, the initial price was sold for 120. There's nothing around. On the right, there are 2 plots, and on the private construction site, there are 3 plots on the left, just emptiness. The owner understands that for another 3 years, there will be constant noise and vibrations around, which is scary. He knows he bought it for 120 and will rent it out. I don't know what their internal strategy is, but in a few years, he'll sell it for 200.
If we say who bought it, enhance appeal. Where the
Yes. Therefore, the product, it's not just important in terms of how much it will cost, but also how quickly and how much we can sell it for. And of course, the target audience is business segment. On the more luxury side, it's easier in conversations if you've done something well. Because even with properties priced at 7-10 million, we're discussing amounts between 50 to 100,000 dirhams. This is a serious topic for discussion. And when you have a villa that costs $10 million, the discounts are already in the millions of dirhams. Or for appraisal, or you're discussing some kind of payment plan, but you're making the villa more expensive, well, there are different conversations there. So if there are 15 and people are thinking about renovating Palm, if they like Palm, okay, we'll do it.
There's a big question here. Why specifically Palm, right? So you have a lot of examples. Let's tell people what areas are available and what's the difference between renovation and construction. Here, on the one hand, everything is clear, but on the other hand, there are areas in Dubai that are already, in principle, need renovation because the areas in demand have been built. We know that some of them are already more than 20 years old. Can you tell us more about this thing?
The main advantage of all these areas we're talking about regarding renovation, again for resale, is that they are ready, they are in the right place. Big developers were doing this 20 years ago, 4 to 5 years ago. Along with the Palm, all of this developed, the master plans. In some areas, we see original documents. 20 years ago, they were even called something different. Were called Emirates Living, everything around Emirates Hills. Some Emirates Hills, Middles, Lakes, Springs. It's a big area. It's green. Why? Yeah, they're all the same. The MR doesn't allow anything to be done from the garage side, but overall, the area is green. There are 10 schools nearby, quick access for our residents who live there and work at GLT, access to offices, access to several malls, transportation accessibility, ease of getting in and out, and greenery around. Urban is great. Yes, if we are talking about large rafts, then it is clear that there are no such hectares, tens, hundreds here. Hundreds like we have in the CS, but if we are talking about fees larger than standard, this is Jumeirah Islands. There are really large fees for such buildings, 564 meters each. In Arabian ranches, there are amazing plots, like really incredible ones, sometimes in winter if you think about it, and look into the distance. And you can't really tell that you're in Dubai. You think, yeah, it seems like a decent plot for living. Consider it.
And Arabian ranches, if you look at the map, it's on the right side, Dubai maps, Dubai Hills. Everyone knows it. It's right in the middle. And Palm, the most popular one. You also often talk about the slang of Springs. Tell me about Springs. Where is it located? As far as I know it's under Dilti. Where the big district is with lakes, it's right there. And it's really attractive because it's close to the sea, close to the beloved marina and Palm. So it's near the center, to the hills, universities and schools. So you can live there with your family. And at the same time, the infrastructure there is completely ready where you can go today. Take accordingly the ransom for renovation, and in 5 to 6 months, or even in 3, as you say, you can already live happily with your family.
This area wraps around Emirates Hills, which is the top one with the biggest and most expensive villas. Let's put it that way. Next, we have branches around it. Behind the big lake, there's a mid with lakes, and then it goes on. Springs has 4,000 identical houses, 2 to 4,000, a total of 4,200. How many have you already done out of them? If we're talking about people who aren't innovative, around 12 of them, that already makes it.
You took more than 1%. We can congratulate on that.
And by the way, on Saturday, we closed the biggest deal, yet another one. The most expensive deal of its kind in 14 years. It will now be reflected on the monitor, well, obviously in all the DLDs, but still without a pool. A small property, 91 square meters.
2 beds, right?
3,900, yes.
2 bedrooms, townhouse, 3,900. Renovation from DCI. please, Sergei Fomin.
Yes, but I'm saying that we can go there, walk around the Tamont and take more units, but our recommendation is this.
But Sergei, by the way, doesn't show the units just like that, only with a deposit, as far as I know. So there's a lot of experience.
We show any of our objects only if the client's profile is met to be displayed. It's clear to the representatives who are taking them for a viewing, because everyone who inquires sometimes, they ask questions after which, of course, we can't work together. For example, where is this area of yours located? Now I have a client, but where is your area located? And you understand that out of 74,000 people who are here, they're trying to sell. Not everyone can.
Broker's audience.
All right, that's a different topic for conversation. Like with the townhouse, 90 days for a small townhouse, 120 days for a small one. This is a 2-bedroom, 91 square meters. The documents say 1690. The fruit 1870 is all a lie. It's only 91 square meters. In the documents, they count everything, including the outer walls, garages, and everything else. Suitable for living in some kind of norm, because often we have, and it's clear, we walk around here in jackets and sweaters, but in the summer it will be, it's a bit hot. 3 bedrooms, 120 days, 180, 204, 190 square meters. Depending on the type, there are several types of villas, different sizes. We're not talking about a standalone building, a villa. It doesn't matter if it's Arabian Ranches or Jumeirah Gulf States, or if I'm not going there or something like that. We allocate 6 months for the work if it's a townhouse. And if we have an extension, some complicated situation, there will be some number in additional weeks. So let's not rush and review it again. And we'll provide clear segmentation based on the numbers.
So we're looking at a 2-bedroom and a 3-bedroom townhouse. And yes, let's consider that. And the villa in the Arabian Ranches. So can you give me an idea of the total amount, please? How much are we take? How much do we get out, including renovations or medians or Arabian Ranches? Arabian Ranches got it.
The story of Arabian Ranches, it's a good property and more expensive because there are large plots, and that's great. And of course, if you compare the number of acres here, I mean, this area of Jumeirah Islands, Arabian Ranches, Middle S, and everything around, of course, we will never reach such numbers for plots. 10, 13, 15, 18, sometimes thousands of square feet is a lot for a plot of land of this size. And we always need to remember what we're discussing now will be irrelevant in 2-3 months because areas are growing on average, if we look at the monitor, by 22% a year organically. So if you buy a villa, do nothing with it, don't renovate, pay that 6%, sit on it for a year, rent it out, maybe to someone, you'll still make a profit. Because a cool villa, not on the road, on the main one, because on the road, of course, there people give 1 million discounts and no one wants it. A normal, good location, Bitako, with a nice view. Yeah, the entry price used to be 2,600. Now it's 3,200 for a 2-bedroom if the entry was at. But I just want to say the number right away. Sometimes for someone, it might seem a bit high right now in February. We understand that we're not taking from electric booths on the road, even if it's internal. The price for a 3-bedroom right now is probably 4,500, plus 6% on top of the purchase everywhere. I said 7, but 7 is like type 3. You can start with the bedroom, but the numbers will be a bit lower there. That's why I recommended entering 10, 11 if you like it. It could even be 12, no big deal. In the end, we'll be looking at numbers in the next season, 17, 18, if it's back-to-back. If we enter at 10, we'll be looking at figures like 16, 16,500 on the exit. On the exit, how much will the renovation cost? We need to understand the presence of an extension. Sometimes this can cost up to 250,000 dirhams. Just pay the fee, so they say, okay guys, take down the facade line, get rid of it.
So it's possible? Second floor, you can melt cylinders?
Yes, in principle, you need to understand that you can't touch anything from the road or in the midges. You can start touching the second floors, but only with standalone structures. The villa in the middle, these are the entries, and the Arabian Ranches with good plots, 13, 15, 17 can cost now. But there, again, if we compare, here you go again, you're going to ask me now. 15 is everything for me. I'm already thinking about construction. No Arabian Ranches. And Arabian Ranches, for some people, it's a desert. 40 minutes from blue waters. An investor at Blue Waters said, Arabian Ranches, 40 minutes. Yeah, that's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, he just hasn't been there actually. It has its own unique energy. Yeah, it's really nice there. It's fully populated. I mean, it's really green. So the greenest area I've ever seen with my own eyes is Arabian Ranches because, well, he's already 21 years old. Yes, that is, you have to understand that this area was, you and I looked in 2004. Yes, that is, it was completed. That is, there is objectively put a demand for renovation there. Yes, that is, when you find a project there and go to Artem for money, there is a high probability of getting profitability. Just because renovations in this area are, well, less than 10%. Yeah, so there's still a lot of work to be done there. And accordingly, this segment is also limited. Yeah, so we made some money.
In any area. Because we understand that we're talking about numbers, where it would be great. But we always communicate with the client, and they have some preferences. So you can also go to Dubai Hills. Yeah, there's cider there. It's being renovated. And Fairways and Standard Parkway. And Golf Place 1, Golf Place 2. But again, the numbers are still 20 plus. On villas where good returns are achieved. Because if we go and compare the same Midas with Sidra, yes, it can be done well. Yes, it can be expanded. Yes, a swimming pool can be installed. But there's not that kind of demand from the overall market. And it doesn't matter what nationality or what passport is requesting this final product. These are the areas where we work, Palm, obviously, but the entry point is higher. Apartments, obviously, that's us. Numbers for the investor. Compared to apartments, we can do a little more. If we're talking about Emirates Living, and yeah, the same Arabian Ranches, there's just a demand for these properties because they're located well in the city, comfortable, nice, and our competitors are already here. So if we compare these numbers, it's apartments. People who don't buy are moving to Dubai Hills because they have kids. It's clear that there's a need for that here. The school is clear. Their own garden, yeah, there's a grill. We already have pools starting from the mid-range units in the database, but they're like, well, for this money, we'll probably go for Dubai Hills because there's a park there. You know, there's again, the school.
The infrastructure is ready.
Or someone is moving to the beachfront because they've dreamed their whole life of looking at that palm tree and they want to go to El Sader or to Beach Vista or someone, I don't know, is going to Balkis, but yeah. Well, not on the beachfront, there are no villas there, just apartments. Yeah, people are moving away. If they compare our renovated units, which are on the market for this price, we're currently at the top of the market and selling, and they compare, and to choose something else, they don't move to other areas, to other villas. You know, Olga is in the same situation or something like that, and everyone is moving towards the big developers where there are apartments and a clear infrastructure. This is ours, let's say.
No, but still, in my opinion, we just need to communicate the information about the location more clearly because, well, the same Springs, yeah. From the location perspective, it's a very clear spot, right? I mean, it's close to malls and schools. Pavel Durov lives nearby, everything is convenient. Yeah, so...
I don't know, our videos are loading so slowly, it feels like something is slowing them down. A little bit, whether on purpose or by accident, it's unclear.
You think it's not nearby, but nobody knows Pavel Bar anymore.
Judging by the speed, there are some good ones, the questions are filled in.
Yeah, so Telegram definitely highlighted the hills and made it clear from the point of view of location, the infrastructure of the school. I mean, yeah, so then and so on. But Arabian Ranches is objectively for those who love golf, right? I mean, listen, I'm there too.
I'm thinking from the perspective of the end market. The market demand for requests when it comes to this area, we just discussed, let's say, small and medium checks. We can go to both fairways and palm, and the prices start from 25, 30, up to 60. But the numbers go up quite a bit, especially with renovations. So yesterday we went to Palm, to the owner of the signature villa. He bought it for 15, and over a few years, he already made back 19 from rent. The total cost of investments in purchases, now he's selling it for 52, but I'm ready to go down to 48. To renovate it to price points of 9,100 over 2 years, you need to spend 18 to 20. So when we move into such luxury, Palm. If we're talking about the signature villa, here are the numbers, for example. Or you can go to the hills in the south,
Heavy luxury.
or a different level.
You mentioned 90 million dirhams over 3 years. Did he make that back through rent? Or how much did you say?
He bought it for 19 and he's selling it for 50 now. He bought it a year before COVID. Duri 1820.
I see.
He's made that back by rent.
He bought it for 7 years, so now it's already worth twice as much right now. But at the same time, he can sell it for 90 if he contacts you.
Yeah, so 9 years. Any place at 90 is not unique. There are some in the city. Well-known companies have been operating for a long time. They have about 80 to 100 properties at the same time. They go to Palm. There are rains. It's been a while since this has come to you, mainly. We're going to have more attention. We're currently talking about our referral program. By the way, our referral program, we're going to have more attention for the investor. The check will be lower than for those guys who, let's say, are at the top of the top 5 searches. And if you're asking about going into the big renovation market, it's already quite serious and mature. No, not that one, like 25, where the Palm Dubai Hills is, and it's already been developed there. Yeah, there are 4,000 square meters. There aren't many of those companies in the city, I know. So, for this speed and better quality, we will charge significantly less money at this stage of our company's development.
In addition to the referral program, you also get a really strong package with the construction.
Project man, an architectural firm inside.
And this is a very important point because not all companies can guarantee that what you see in the picture is what you get. So you mentioned, what is the percentage ratio?
We are drawing here, meaning our team is located here. In general, the team is distributed across 4 countries. We only miss out on certain elements that run out by the time of purchase. It could be lamps or some movable furniture. Everything that happens in the picture you can come and see in our presentation. Everything that happens before the construction work starts, before the demolition and everything that comes out in the end, it matches, for us, approximately 96%.
Everything related to major renovations like moving walls indeed and adjustments, yes, and so on. In the area where they weren't present, it can be created, and not for this basic thing up to 28. Some people have a certain understanding of what renovation is. So yes, that's true.
It's a complicated issue when it comes to calling it an investment. In general, I don't consider it an investment. I think it's more like immersion. Payments, like for a loan, are not investments. It might happen or it might not. We don't control the big developers, and in general, there is official access for the big ones. In fact, developers are delayed by a year. So some people rent out earlier, while others take advantage of this opportunity and rent out not just for a year. Some buildings are rented out several years later.
Accordingly, it won't work like that with the renovation segment because the company directly records the timeline during the construction period when you enter the site. All the deadlines are initially discussed with you before the work starts. We fix the deadlines, and before the work starts, we fully sign the estimate.
We are responsible in the documents and in terms of deadlines and in terms of the mixture that we do not exceed, and there are penalties. So we understand where we're going, what we promise, and what our timeline is for each district, each project, and so on. And regarding the referral program, for agents,
this is an important detail. Right now, 9,000 brokers, users of the platform, will be watching us.
For us, for brokers, it's still the same. The story is that they earn 3 times from one property. The first time they buy it, 3 times. Maybe
Move cherries for developer commission. Why should an agent lead?
roughly speaking, at 10, they go to sell. I ask to thread it into the plan. So let's start with the positives and the plan. Then for the broker, the plan can't be touched. That's the pictures in the plan are the presentation on the Behomes platform.
What will they grasp the plan on the Behomes platform?
You shouldn't have to wait more than a year if we're talking about the secondary market, from which you can typically earn. It's clear that 2%, and if there's also a seller's commission, that's another 2%. And if someone has access to us, we always pay a commission from our units in the market, 2% And if he has a direct client, then he immediately gets 4. But if everyone is asking for a discount, it's clear that someone needs to make some adjustments. Then, if this investor it came and he is an investment project, he doesn't plan to live there and intends to sell and sell with us. And we create a product based on the figure that we discussed together and declared. So, as a development company, we also pay a commission of 0.5%.
So like he can take the listing back into his contract and sell it?
Yes, 0.5% of the initial price, either for a non-renovated property or for the fee. A commission from our company is due upon signing the renovation agreement.
Colleagues, are you asking where to look for listings? A very simple answer. So to do this, you need to sell the villa, sell the renovation in it, and get the listing back. So DCI pays 2% plus 0.5% for the renovation procedure. And as a result of this, you can earn approximately 2% by reselling this project in a straightforward manner. So this is the minimum for the investor and for you.
And you won't lose the investor.
Minimum. But at the very concluding stage, the person representing the investor, who is the exclusive representative, POA, broker, or whatever title you want to call it, can get 4. 2 from there, 2 from here, and it turns out to be 5 kilograms.
I think those who are listening to us from the professionals understand well how this works.
It's better if we, let's say it again, you can lead a client on one property for a year and earn a minimum commission of 2% from both sides on the secondary market if we have discussions there.
There are loans you can still earn.
This is the 4th story.
No. Well, let's emphasize from the start that in this whole process, first and foremost, the investor earns the most, right? So 20% on the purchase, renovation, and sale of the unit, right? That is, when using borrowed funds and referring to Artem, accordingly, this thing can double.
Yes. So, which are on villas starting from 10 million. These are acceptable figures.
Well, that's annual.
Yes.
That's why?
Well, deals close faster than 12 months.
Yes, there's also a very interesting segment. I want to touch on commercial real estate because we started actively looking into this area. So I know that your specialization is specifically residential real estate, right? Well, let's just imagine, right? Some cases. And we actually have it in progress. Now, the situation accordingly is about buying a floor. Yes, also the floor. The business bay, accordingly, is 800 square meters for 15 million, right? So the story is that the purchase is only Shatna through leverage. So the thing is, this floor is already fully leased out. Yes. And accordingly, it's already bringing in 1,900,000 in income annually. Yes. So that's for one floor. 6 title deeds. A title deed is a separate office. Yes. So that's how it works. When purchasing this floor on credit, the amount of the loan to be paid will only be 1,450,000 a year, while the rent that the tenants bring in is 1,900,000. That is, by and large, an investor only needs to invest 30% of the building. Yes, that's from the cost of the floor. And then he covers this with a loan. It's a straightforward case. You can just go to Artem, and tomorrow it can be on the market because it's an offer in the market. What is there to discuss? I am a controversial topic. I'll tell you what we should discuss.
I thought we were going to discuss an empty floor, how to buy it in bulk, cut it up for retail and rent it out.
So, indeed, there you go. You're absolutely on the right track. Let's just imagine that, essentially, these 6 title deeds can each, as a matter of fact, be divided into 3. So, in this way, from 6 offices, we will end up with 18. That is, accordingly, the cost. The rent can double annually. So from 2 to 3 times. Actually, if we move to the monthly payment segment, that is, if we switch to monthly payments, since these small offices are often rented not for a year, not on an annual contract, but on a monthly payment basis. Have you ever encountered working in commercial premises, and with what nuances, details? What challenges might one encounter based on your experience?
We don't have any cases related to investments or things like that. We have experience, let's say, overhearing and dialogues, conversations with colleagues in the market who buy it at the Emirates, the auction, and then they just turn it into something better. Let's say the same light, decorative work, and sell it at market price or slightly above market price. There could be a business in this, if we're talking about your scheme, cutting it up and selling it retail. I have a counter question. What if that company or that agent who will sell it, how quickly can they do it? We're not experts here. I can only make assumptions. But if the building is in the right location and has comfortable parking, like in JLT, it's a retail parking lot with a bunch of free spots underground that are just not accessible to someone arriving, and you can't make it paid for you. Either you get a fine for 200 dirhams or you keep circling around, wasting a huge amount of time. So, Dubai is really important for an office where meetings are supposed to take place if there are no clients coming in and there are enough parking spaces for those employees, okay? Therefore, the question of the building's infrastructure, how interesting it is, will be, just like everything else, for the tenants who are considering compared to the neighbors, and how well is it done?
A question about renovations. So, in the same direction as the apartments, do you think this is a more decorative format? So there's no serious reconstruction going on there. And basically,
I assume, again, when we were looking for offices, what our colleagues in the market are doing, we're looking at both pricing and what kind of, the activities are led by those who are specifically involved in commerce. And there are companies, including ours, colleagues from Moscow, they only deal with commerce. And I believe that the working scenario is to buy all of this back, again, at some reduced price. And let's say it's not so much a renovation as it is the preparation of these offices for a long-term lease, possibly, even in the format more of some kind of co-working.
Can your company provide these services?
We don't handle the management of commercial projects. What can be produced within the work? Decorative, that's clear, but I can't tell you here. Because there was no experience. There is only, again, what we discussed, as we had discussed a few months ago, in 2024, over the phone, what the residential real estate broker market, conditionally 70,000, and here there are 70 people. Yes, some of them are involved, but again, we remember that they're not interested in dealing with it, the brokers, because the commission is too small. You see, the units are small, the prices are low.
The frequency of people isn't high enough to allow for working with such small commissions.
But yes, it's some kind of management of the building. There should either be some kind of hub that has a lot to offer and where leads come in on their own and they just distribute them across the available spaces, or again, like their colleagues do. At the entrance to the Palm, they first bought one floor, divided it up, set up a quiet room, a booth for meetings, a line, a printer, water, coffee. Well, conditionally, our co-working there, Russian history, turning wholesale into retail and even smaller. So you're talking about 6 by 12, dividing it up. And here it's really a workspace. And it won't be a monthly payment, but a daily payment. They passed, I've been watching them for the second or third year, so it works. But I think it will be hard to find all these individual tenants. So we have another discussion about commerce, and also right now in Russia, there's a boom in these warehouse spaces which are just being built for 3 big brands because they have nowhere to store all this stuff. So here I would focus on commercial real estate, looking for opportunities, digging deeper. The market is responding to the demand from companies moving in, whether it's from England, America, Canada, Australia, or China. It doesn't matter. I would look for leads and create a case I would package it up, maybe in a light pitch deck for the end user, the company that you will be servicing. And for this story, you could probably even open a mini management company that will handle the paperwork and everything else.
Please write down a ready-made business plan from Sergei Fomin on how to make money.
Maybe the building is just that amazing. Like, there are several buildings where the waiting list is 2 years long, and no matter what you do there, even if it's just an empty carpet, where there are already coffee stains. The main thing is that the area is marked with glass, because glass work in commercial spaces also takes a long time to get approved in different buildings. You can get stuck there for several weeks or even months just getting approvals. Getting the fire safety approved, moving the ceilings, well, it's a nightmare. It can be terrible. If you're doing a complete overhaul, it can be a complicated situation. And if everything is already divided up, the walls are up, and you just need to repaint, put in some tables, well,
you have to take the chance to become an old broker, like 71 and 7. Those of you in commercial real estate, listen up. We've already discussed 3 interesting segments, right? So, renovations for apartments. Accordingly, construction from scratch and renovations for villas and townhouses have taken over the commercial sector. But still, this interesting topic was raised. And Artem, we have serious expertise in this area. There are about 75,000 brokers, and these are the most common deals happening in the market. Here, in our opinion, yes, we have distressed properties represented on our platform, and distressed properties, these are really some of the most popular and frequently traded deals. Artem, can you tell us why and what the specific features of these deals are?
Distressed props.
Yes.
Recently in Dubai, yes, due to the real estate market growing, there are just a lot of new projects coming up, and the geopolitical situation and so on. And besides the fact that Dubai is doing great on its own, yes, in terms of its development and so on, a lot of people are coming here, right? So besides these people, there are investors, yes, we can probably call them speculators, who want to turn their capital within a 6-month period. So there are interested parties in these speculators in the form of real estate agents, yes, who take advantage of this increased demand, taking advantage of the fact that developers allow reselling after a certain period. In some projects it's 34%, in others it's 44%. So what actually happened? Where did these distressed assets come from? What happened is that because of these promises that agents say they will resell your property within 6 months with returns. Well, yes, oh dear. People believe in this. You can't really blame people for that, but of course, the desire to make easy money in 6 months is sometimes still there. Let's move on. So some of these people, at the time of purchasing the property, don't have the full amount needed to buy it. Completely.
Well, it's clear, because they were saying that you only need to invest 30%, 40%.
And the person thought so.
And he is counting on an amount that is 30, 40%, and then you need to pay the handover and everything else. What's happening, Artemi?
That's right, the handover. For those who are watching, it's a big payment for the keys. Why is it big? Because usually it's about 30, 40 or 50% of the apartment's value, and the person, let's say they promised him, they say, buddy, we will resell it for you. After 30% of the payment plan is paid, 30% comes, and the agent says, don't worry, we're going to list it on Boyut, it'll fly off the shelves now. It's listed on Boyut, on Property Finder, and 3 more months go by, the next payment is 40%. Okay, his investor is also paying and thinking, well, for sure, we'll definitely get to 50 now. So basically, it doesn't work out. So, regarding the market, what can be said about investments is that a lot of apartments aren't selling, unlike the secondary market like Dubai Hills, Springs, and so on. Well, real transactions. So, because people see that they can't handle the upcoming handover payment, let it be, I don't know, let it be 40% of the payment plan. So they have 2 choices. So the first choice is to lose the entire invested amount because the person is not fulfilling the terms of the contract. The developer takes both the money and the property from him. Actually, it's become a bit easier now. Yeah, there are some urgent ones. And returning the money that we're trying to sell, yeah, it hasn't worked out yet, but we're still trying. By the way, in good news, developers have started to partially return money, so I'm hearing more and more from colleagues in the market that...
Who do you need to buy from to get your investments back?
So we need to clarify that I don't want to give out incorrect information. So there is a group of people who
Clarify, DCI Group, I bought it and I got 100% of my investment back. You can go buy it off plan.
so just do it within a year.
We're indeed certainly talking about distressed sales to give a complete picture, to understand for the investor the difference in investing their 30-40%.
Let's talk about distress first and then about agents. So there are some people who understand that, unfortunately, they don't have the money for the final payment. For some reason, they didn't reach out to us for a mortgage, even though they can come to us for a mortgage, and that payment at the handover, can be stretched painlessly over 25 years. Well, but there are people who that means, they found themselves in this situation and are ready to sell for less than they bought from the developer. This is called, distress.
Well, essentially, it's a deal below market value, yeah?
Below the purchase price from the developer. Below market value, how to repeat it?
Not below the low market price, but below then.
OP, the original, one that was, right? We are actually successfully accumulating these deals, on the platform. And you can check all of this out at the moment there.
There was no knowledge about the order up to the unit corner.
So, you can't really say that it's beneficial because objectively people are losing money in any way.
The story is that 175 investors in our database have already contributed 30-40% to date. The idea of making a profit. So it's important to understand that the idea of making a profit can be broken down into completely different baskets. So there are people who bought, like, you have 4 units with a client, right? And there are many like that, a lot. So people who invest 5 to 10 million in dirhams have alternatives in the form of renovations.
It's not even that there are alternatives. Let's figure out why this is happening. Let's put ourselves in the shoes of real estate agents. So we have a choice: off plan, secondary market with bonuses like renovations, etc. What's easier for us to do? Visit the offices of Emirates, Meras, Nakil, Shoba, and so on, So the representative from the developer will send over the Excel sheets and the presentations. Once again, we don't call anyone, we don't talk to any agents, we don't reach out to any owners. We just went to the developer and they told us, here's the availability, here's the seller. Well, you hit me with a finger on a finger. And of course, for a real estate agent, selling it off plan is, 10 times easier, right? Much easier. Much easier. Because in order to find a property for renovation, once again, you need to choose the area. Start calling these villas, start leaving low offers. Start identifying those people who have some urgency with their money, then find some renovation team if they haven't found one.
So keep an eye on the property. And
probably it's a completely different level of effort involved, instead of just selling it as a side job.
recently I was discussing with a colleague and he said, man, in the secondary market, you really have to work hard in the secondary market. An agent really needs to work finally, and these next couple of years, 25, 26, they need to, with everything, you need to work harder to sell off plan. It's clear. It's easier, and everyone is doing it. But it's not always, by the way, faster than in the secondary market, especially with us. Some wait for several quarters. Listen, could you please elaborate on the thought about agents, Artem? Interesting. Please finish your thought.
As I see it, at least, yes, there are agents who are here for the agency, and there are guys who are here for the profession, yes, who are here. They all have a more or less similar path. Yeah, so they don't go straight to a company and start asking questions like, where are my leads? I want so many leads a day. They don't do it that way. What path? Renting, then means the secondary market and then translating. For them, it's like something they've kind of reached out to, and because they look in the mirror into their own eyes and can explain to the investor why some primary market property is good. Let's not get too deep into the primary market right now. But in short, there are also nuances there. But what's the essence? And there are others, yes, another type of agents who are not interested in this whole story, who gathered for the sake of the commission. Yes, they looked at what one person had. Someone there bought a good car. Someone bought a nice watch. And we've all seen these agents. They talk about it completely seriously. I mean, like in the movie The Wolf of Wall Street. I'm okay with talking like that. Yeah, so we have something unique. So what's unique about that?
Yeah, on time in stocks.
So the thing is, yeah, it's about the ability to sell, but in a way that's higher than the expertise needed to close a deal in the secondary market just won't cut it. No matter how much we want it, it just won't work that way in the secondary market.
There's definitely a product that you see, right? You come in and assess it with your eyes.
It's not like, from this thought, it might seem that I have some kind of negative attitude towards agents or anything like that. I believe that those who treat this work as a profession, yeah, and follow their own path, because what's this all about? Is it coming to an end? This work ends up with the fact that after some time of all these processes and gaining experience, most often an agent focuses on one area like Dubai Hills or Blue Waters or whatever, and only deals with that area. And after some time, what happens is, let's say he starts working in Blue Waters. After a couple of years, or maybe 2 or 3, it doesn't take long, he already knows a lot of the owners. Well, not all of them, but many owners, many agents. He's already shown the same apartment several times. Well, that's the thrill.
Of course, when he knows every type of person in one building, understands who's who and so on.
We have different groups of agents for different areas. If they work here and work in townhouses, then they can't sell Dubai Hills. They physically can't visit these properties physically in a single day and successfully do the showings.
Exactly, showings. The secondary market. A person is selling, let's say, an apartment in Gree Harbor. If the agent comes there with the client and the client is seeing this agent for the first time or maybe not. So just to clarify, how do you come in with an agent? The agent greeted the security guard at push. He had seen that guard before. He knows what to do when he's asked a question. He says, this is this and that is that. He needs to know all of that. In terms of that, you don't need to know any of this. Absolutely none of it is necessary. The coveted phone number of the developer's manager is absolutely correct. The one who helps in turn to make this sale. That's why I'm all for building expertise. And from that point on,
everyone in their own area. Max, he's too. But to be nearby,
in their expertise,
it's impossible to move from Palm to Dubai Hills. And people call who need a viewing. They call and they think about it for a few weeks, like, I'll come. And then they call and say, I want to do it right now in 40 minutes. And the agent is on the other side of the city.
Either they don't answer the phone or...
We don't work with those. Everyone takes, everyone shows. In each area, there's its own group of agents. Their own group of agents who are competent and understand what's going on. We're always making a product. We're sitting here, producing it, making it. We say, guys, we're open to chatting. And we do this with you every Friday. We're ready to invite everyone to the office who is willing to spend their time and ask, guys, why do you have the most expensive units? What the hell is with your overpricing? And sometimes you don't hit the evaluation if the client wants 3%, and we'll explain why, and we can explain it to the guys from the banks, their colleagues too. Evaluation. But they don't want to spend all that time on it. They want it fast, wheels spinning faster.
Time will tell. And in fact, the number of deals at DCI is increasing every month because the market is changing its pattern. So people are starting to dive into the market. First of all, well, right now, the demand for the secondary market is much higher than it used to be.
Before, it was really active right now. This wave of investors wants to have secondary properties in their hands, but at the same time, they want to make money and not just 6 to 7% from rent. That's because if you just buy something good, yeah, you can probably reach some numbers around 8 plus or minus, but this is, from what I know, these are hotel apartments where you can't get rid of them during the contract. 10, 12 years. And that's why, after all, this is distress. We have distressed properties.
That's why
either it's distressed properties or you get 6 to 7% rental income. Just sit back and collect that money. Either something fast, but you need to understand where to go and what. Sometimes apartments also show good numbers. And 20-30%, you need to understand which buildings to go to. And those apartments that these numbers show, they cost not 2 million, but starting from $2 million. Let's say I would call this the price range of apartments where you can hit those numbers. Yeah, but with that money, again, it's easier for us to work in standalone units that are on the street. We don't have, since that time, we have difficulties with the restrictions on noisy work. There's no delivery of materials.
you are absolutely not dependent on the entrance, the lobby, or the elevators.
It's not very fair. Nonetheless, we're on these. In investment money, knocked down, we can show at least the same. And with figures of 10 plus, the figures are greater than at least what we've seen in closed cases from our colleagues.
Well, basically, you can earn about 20%, definitely through three ways. The first way is to go down the path of acquiring a townhouse or villa through renovation to increase profitability. You can take advantage of mortgage leverage, yes, and increase your returns by essentially using only 30% of the villa's value, which means 20-40%. Depending on the value of your villa, accordingly, 60% from 60 to 80% will be given by the bank. So you can use that same money for further renovation. And there's also the option of going to the bank and making a profit right from the start by buying at 20-30% below the original price, which is also possible. No one is stopping you from doing another renovation after that.
If the numbers in the building are ready and the apartment in an adequate place area developer and it is really lower than OP and really distressed, then there you can do minor cosmetic work, do furniture, staging, where we also do separate fan dating. And there too, the numbers will be 20, 30. How cheaply will you buy it? Again, it's an auction. Who's ready to dive in there?
You experience the same distress, but if you
can, let's say, catch a unit at least a little lower. There you can catch 10 at 5%. From the market that is there, we compare ourselves with the market. They are weak. And of course, there are some problematic guys there. And you need to dive deep before entering the deal to see what's going on with the documents so you don't get stuck with some unpaid debts or have the utilities shut off. Electricity and so on is also an option, but it's a bit complicated. So there are simpler things to consider. Yes, if the distress is real, you can get it done much faster. I mean, a month, 45 days for all the work on the deal and furnishing. With repainting the walls, why not?
Yes, well, that's definitely something we need to do. I propose then as a bonus, Sergei, let's promise our audience a short, clear presentation to attach to the video where we'll discuss the three most popular cases we talked about today. So these are the starting prices for Fayget, respectively, about townhouses, villas, and construction. So it's specifically to demonstrate the entry into this story and to be able to see in pictures how it was before and how it is after. So you know how to do this well. I know for sure that such a presentation exists.
We just need to update the prices for February 6th.
Yes, we need to set the date here.
It's a must. Absolutely. Understand presentations no longer work. And we can also have some kind of offer for those who are watching if anyone has something ready. Ideally, something old. Maybe there are some damages to the property somewhere. And you don't want to invest money into it, but you want to sell it and it's just sitting there. We ready to produce. Action, project, draw, at least make a project and show in the market, that is to remake the listings to how it could be renovated. It doesn't matter, it could even be a villa. It could be an apartment and sell it to the end user already with a project where it's already with the next buyer, the final user, the investor. We will figure it out.
How many promo codes are we giving for this option?
Very expensive. We give to the first three. And we are ready to discuss immediately, starting next week from February 14th. If anyone has properties that are stuck, we're ready to work with them to get them sold for at least the same price, if not more. It is possible that we have a large pool of incoming requests, but on John evening for co-investment, there are some numbers there. One or two. It is possible that we can simply get it, attract and enter the venture genie and make a more expensive product where the client will receive both the price I'm asking for now and we will split it. The profit we will get in the end because of the improvements we make.
Yes, that's very useful. And then we'll leave your Telegram channel directly in the description so that people can write about this.
Here's the secret about Telegram. Let's just leave the Instagram company there, by the way. It's constantly active. Just a few hours go by and they get published. Video from the objects, such as what our transactions are. An active life is happening there. You can write there and check it out. We're open to dialogue in Dubai on Fridays, and Andrew is hosting.
Yes, right. At the event until 10 and every Friday at DIFC New Hub, we hold events discussing interesting cases, renovations, mortgages, distress, and sales tips, and working with a personal brand. So everyone who wants to meet us in person, please come to the Innovation Hub Financial Center, and we'll meet you, treat you to some tea or coffee, and help you arrange a mortgage or buy your property. So that's basically it. Thank you, Artem, for the clear information. Let's definitely attach the link to the distress and the mortgage then. And Artem will personally help you answer all your questions.
Besides the offer, yes, I'll support you. I'll add thanks for that. Our conversation today, besides the fact that we have the option to work with a certain property, we have inventory ready. Our colleagues, investors, will also leave the links.
What is ready has already been implemented.
The one that's ready, you can buy. Several properties are approaching completion. February, March, April, which are currently at 70 to 50% completion. They're finishing up now and coming onto the market, again, above market level. But suddenly someone offers us a good check for rent, and we could sit in the rental for a year. I don't rule that out.
Oh, by the way, for all brokers on the Behance platform, we just search for DCI Group so we can see all the units from your company.
We put a few units there,
and we go there.
We can put everything that we have left in the plan. It's being built, and when it's ready for us, it will transition to finished housing. With the new update, the system is transitioning to finished housing in the near future. We're waiting for B2C from Andrey, so the end users can start using the service like
in the near future, not right away.
Well, look, the year 2025 has started. We need to give the market something new this year. I believe that this will happen, and it will definitely be a boost for the overall interaction of all clients in the software.
Cool. All right. Thank you for believing in our product. Well, thank you for watching, dear ones. Viewers, friends, colleagues. See you in the next podcast.